That down. Let's talk about this. Pixar is back. Now, they've never really gone anywhere. I mean, Bob Chapek dumped them on Disney Plus for a while there, but even then they put out some really good movies. Then Elemental came out, which not a lot of people went to go see it first. Had a very weak opening weekend, but word of mouth about just how good. And by the way, if you guys still have not seen Elemental, see it. It's a wonderful movie. It ended out legging out $500 million. Even though it had a really weak start, people just kept going back and word of mouth spread, made over $500 million. And that has all paved the way for Inside Out 2. Box office pundits got really excited a few weeks ago when they said, oh my God, Inside Out 2 is projected for $80 to $85 million box office opening. And we are like, that's amazing. That could be the biggest box office opening of the year so far. How great would it be in what has been a slow 2024 at the box office? How great would it be if Inside Out 2 can indeed make that 80 to 85 million? Wouldn't that be great? Oh my God, that would be fantastic. Unbelievable if they can do it. Let's see if they can actually pull that off. Well, then its opening night set the record for the year for the biggest opening night of the year. And then some people started saying, wait a minute. Not only can this movie maybe make 80 to 85 million dollars opening weekend, it could make 90 to 100 million.
Not going to make that.
Yeah,
no
yeah, it's possible. I said it's possible. It could. Maybe it could. Some people say, what if, no, I think it'd make 150 million. I said, let's not get ridiculous. Let's not get silly here and start saying 150 million, but 100 could be in reach. Oh my God, $100 million opening for Inside Out 2? Forget it. It absolutely destroyed, nearly doubled its original box office expectations, and did not just beat 80 and 85, did not just beat 90 million and 100, not just 110 or 120 or 130 or 140, but it surpassed $150 million. Inside Out 2 made $155 million on its opening weekend, making it the second biggest opening weekend for an animated film in history. Let me say that again. Inside Out 2 just became the second biggest box office opening for an animated film in history. Variety writes this: anxiety to the rescue. Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, an animated adventure that spotlights apprehension among other emotions, scored the biggest box office debut of the year with $155 million. By the way, it nearly doubled what was the biggest box office opening of the year. Because I believe it was Dune 2 that was the biggest box office opening of the year at $82 million. Inside Out 2 nearly just doubled that. And a $295 million opening globally. It is a huge win for theaters. Ticket sales have been lagging way behind since 2023, or lagging behind 2023. And Pixar, which has struggled to restore its box office touch since COVID, those results far exceeded expectations and notched several opening weekend records in the process. So let's go down and take a look at some of the things here. Domestically, it is the biggest opening of the year, overtaking Dune Part 2 at $82.5 million. And Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire, again, nearly doubling what Godzilla x Kong and Dune Part 2 did. Only release of 2024 so far, and the first since last July's Barbie of $162 million opening to launch above $100 million. Second largest animated debut of all time, only behind 2018's Incredibles 2 that opened to $182 million and of course went on to go well over $1 billion at the box office. It is the second biggest start in Pixar history, ahead of 2016's Finding Dory and Toy Story 4, only behind the aforementioned Incredibles 2, and is the fourth best opening of all time for a PG movie, only after Lion King, Incredibles 2, and 2017's Beauty and the Beast, which in reality means it really is the third biggest opening of an animated film, because as everybody seems to forget, The Lion King is an animated movie. It is not live action, contrary to popular belief. On the international stage, It is the biggest international opening weekend in history at current exchange rates and second biggest in actual exchange rates, surpassing Disney's 2019 adventure Frozen 2 at $135 million. Second biggest debut ever in Latin America, behind only Disney's Marvel's epic Avengers Endgame. Second biggest debut ever in Latin America, only behind Endgame. Best start of all time in smaller markets, including Colombia, Turkey, Paraguay, and among the top 5 in Mexico, Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, Greece, and Peru, and is IMAX's fourth biggest animated opening, excluding China, with 3.5 million. Guys, there is no brush in your pocket that you can paint anything negative about this. This movie just destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. And Ray, look this up. What did the original Inside Out do? I think the original Inside Out made in the 800 million range.
Yeah, let me check it out. But
if you can find out what the opening
I got
weekend,
it right here.
What was the opening weekend of Inside Out 1?
Opening, 90. 90.
Was 90.
And it was 858.
And it was
total.
made $858 million.
So this is probably tracking then over $1 billion if you go by that math.
It could. Now, it doesn't automatically mean it'll make $1 billion, but this movie joining the $1 billion club is now firmly a possibility. Guys, we want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Liquid IV. You know, it seems like summer's just designed to make us thirsty, whether it's camping, hiking, playing sports, and staying hydrated is the key to making the most of every moment. Because summer requires extraordinary hydration that's built for everyday dehydrating moments. Liquid IV hydrates me with benefits like electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients. With 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients in a single stick, it's clearly why Liquid IV is the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. It has 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink. Just tear, pour, and live more. Just 1 stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. With 8 vitamins and nutrients, non-GMO and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. There's no artificial colors or sweeteners, and it's got 4 delicious sugar-free flavors: white peach, green grape, raspberry melon, and lemon lime. So turn your ordinary water into extraordinary hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code CAMPEA at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code CAMPEA at liquidiv.com.
you know, without being like a specialist, me and you go to a lot of these openings, and then I always look for visual clues of whether I think a movie is going to be good, either by the audience size. We'll look around and be like, oh, that's a packed theater. It might have a good weekend, or the concession stands are long, whatever. When we went to Inside Out 2, I saw 2 things that were like strange to me. One thing is, when the movie ended, they had all the workers come in cleaning up right away, even while people were still sitting in there.
Oh yeah, because
you never see that
they were
happen.
packing the number screens. Yeah.
The other thing is, when we walked outside, you guys remember the ticket booth where you actually buy tickets from a real person?
Ghost Town now,
that
right?
was warming out that day. It was warmed out that day.
When's the last time you saw a line in front of a physical ticket booth?
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
and when we walked
that day
out,
there was.
Yeah, and I saw it all warmed out. I was like, oh wow, what's going on? That could be our new signs of a movie doing good things.
People have to have physical box office.
Yeah, because like, you know, they actually had 2 people working in the front. I was like, that's the most I've ever seen. There's only 1 person, and they're always twiddling their hair or on their phone, just waiting.
Oh, it's the best gig. If you can get that gig at AMC, that's the best
Oh
one.
yeah, it's the best show. You get
Nobody
caught up on
bothers
your
you.
reading. You don't have to do anything. So look, this denotes a couple of big things. To quote the great Scribe, reports of Pixar's demise have been greatly exaggerated.
Yeah.
I don't know why there were people thinking, Pixar's done. And okay, yeah. Number 2, we have been saying since mid to late 2023 that yes, the first half of 2024 was going to be a struggle at the box office. The labor strikes pushed all these productions off. A whole bunch of big projects got moved out. The first half was going to be a struggle, and it was. But we said we're going to have to really see what 2024 is going to be like once we get to the midpoint. Once movies like Inside Out, Deadpool and Wolverine, Despicable Me, Moana 2, once all these movies start to come out, that's really going to tell us where we're really at as far as box office goes in business.
Do you actually think with these results, and probably further on, Inside Out 3 is a possibility now.
You know, it's funny because we talked the other day about how the people at Pixar said, we're not going to do Inside Out 3. This is the end of the road. I think those conversations have to happen now. They just launched the second biggest animated, for Pixar at any rate, second biggest opening ever in their history.
Since Barbie. Like, even since Barbie.
This was Barbie, yeah.
Like, well, Barbie's not Disney, but I mean, for Pixar. But the biggest opening in the world since Barbie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something, it's going to be like the Joker situation. They only ever planned to make one, but then they had the success necessitated them talking about another one. They never planned on doing a third Inside Out, but I think the success is going to have to make them start considering it.
I also think, because we were just talking about, we rarely see the 40 percentile drop. I don't think we're going to see a 50-60% drop on this. I think word of mouth is very strong. I don't think the majority of people have yet to see this film. And I'm going to go on record as saying I think it's going to be in the I'm not saying it's 40%, could be 49, 48. Okay, maybe on a technicality I win, but it's going to be in that 40 percentile range.
Okay, here's the one thing working against that prediction. Well, one of the things working for your prediction is there's nothing big opening. I think we got the Bike Riders. Is that opening next weekend?
I got my ticket for it, but it ain't going to compete with this.
But it ain't going to compete with that, so that's fine. But here's the thing working against it having less than a 50% drop. How many people already saw it? I think you're going to get a good amount of people going back. I think word of mouth is going to be strong. But I think, put it this way, even if it has an over 50% drop, okay? You're talking about a $70 million second weekend. Mm-hmm. You're talking about a second weekend that would be the third biggest opening weekend of the year we've had so far.
Right, and only domestic.
And you know what?
Just domestic, yeah.
It didn't need 3 hours to do it, baby. It was only an hour and 40 minutes. That's 40. Like perfect time for a movie. There's a lot of kids. Even my neighbor, when I actually went over there and I said I saw Inside Out too, he's like, is my kid old enough to get it? I was like, no, unfortunately. Because he's only one, right? So he won't understand the concepts. But there's still people that are asking, should I go watch this with my kid?
The thing is that summer break hasn't even fully been realized yet for every district. So that's rolling out even as we speak up to like probably this weekend. So you're still getting a big wave of kids coming out during midweek and into the weekends.
And I also love that this is just a happy mood movie when you leave. When people leave happy and smiling from a film and you get a bunch of people watching that same film, I just like the atmosphere when people are just happy and talking, like, you know.
Yeah, and everybody walked out with a huge smile on their face. Now, look, again, I am not sitting here saying that this is going to join the $1 billion club necessarily. But, I mean, I didn't think it was a possibility before.
Well, it beat the first one. That 858.
I think so.
Listen,
858.
It just made $75 million more on its opening weekend than the first one did. I got to say it's got a very strong chance. Now, listen, also, movie-going trends are different today than they were even a few years ago. Like, for more than a decade, the trend has been becoming movies run in theaters gets shorter and shorter, right? More and more people every year, if they're going to go see a movie, they go to see it in the first weekend. Mm-hmm. That's just not everybody, but more and more. Every single year that passes, that becomes more true. So I don't know that it will stretch out as long as the first one did. That came out almost 10 years ago. But I got to say, it's got a very good chance of surpassing the first one. And I think becoming a $1 billion film is a possibility.
I mean, people love this first one with the 858. Imagine those people having kids now.
Yeah, I mean.
And bringing them, and bringing that whole tribe or crew.
Well, yeah, but also people grew up with this thing now, so they're at an age where this is meaningful to them again.
Yeah.
Because what they're dealing with kind of parallels.
And most importantly, it's just a really good movie.
Yeah, it's a really good
movie.
I like this better than the first. A lot of people say it's not as good as the first. I personally thought it was better.
Yeah, I still prefer the first, but I love this one. I think this one's great. Anyway, now the question becomes, what happens to Deadpool and Wolverine? I mean, the projections for Deadpool and Wolverine are $200 to $239 million. They were projecting 80 to 85. Now, listen, the projections are 90% of the time, projections are within 5%. That's the reality. But every once in a while, man, a movie like this comes along that just like destroys the projections, the expectations. So we're going to have to see what happens. Now we've got what's going to happen with Deadpool, what's going to happen with Moana, what's going to happen with Despicable Me, what's going to happen with Joker 2, what's going to happen with all that. We'll have to wait and see. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Inside Out 2 just obliterated all projections and all expectations at the box office, becoming what they're saying is the second, but it was actually the third biggest opening weekend in animated film history, only behind the CGI remade Lion King and, of course, The Incredibles 2. What do you think about that? Could it join the $1 billion club? What does this tell you about the upcoming movies for the rest of the year? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.